to unique Mecca audio.
All right, so this is what it is, man. I'm gonna tell y'all this one. This how I felt like Job. Y'all know the Bible. Y'all know who Job is. If you don't know who Job is, it's spelled J-O-B. Look that up. I felt like Job because I was on top of the world. I'm riding down 8th Avenue, just past the rooftop. You know what I mean? Hit 8th Avenue, swung around, went up 153rd, 51st Street, hit McCombs, came back around, came down 154th Street. And now when I come down 154th Street, I see all types of people out there and I'm looking for somebody. I don't see who I'm looking for. You know what I mean? So now I'm riding. Yeah, I'm saying, you know what I mean? So now, because I'm in my zone. So now I'm riding down 8th Avenue and all of a sudden I see the lights behind me, flashing lights, So, you know me, I'm not respecting that. You know what I mean? So I jets off. Woof. You know what I mean? So I run, hit 150th, I make a left. And when I pull over, as soon as I pull over, they come over and they ask for ID. So when they ask for ID, I give them my ID, and I got a fake ID with a different name, a Spanish name. You know what I mean? Something like Juan Gutierrez or something. So now when they ask me for that, they look at it and they just throw it back in my face. They say, "We know who you are, unique. This is how I got arrested." They say, "We know who you are." So they pick me up and they, put me in the back of the car, take me down to 132nd Precinct. I get down to 132nd Precinct. Spent the night down there. That next morning, they shoot me down to MDC, MCC, that is. They shoot me down to MCC. So I get down to MCC, and they bring me in, and they open up the indictment. When they open the indictment, they got me on for the kingpin charge. They kept talking about, you got a gas chamber waiting. We going to put you in the gas chamber. You know what I mean? Because, it's the kingpin charge, the biggest charge you could get for drugs, So they hit me with that joint. So right there, I felt like, damn. The world is crashing, but I don't trip, So then they send me up to Otisville. So while I'm up at Otisville, I'm waiting for them to come take me and move me down to, Virginia. So I get down to Virginia and they take me down to a little post office. And the judge come out, put on a black robe in the post office, mail all at my feet. I know I told y'all about that, but this is going into something. Let you know how I felt like I lost everything. So now they done took me there, and from there they take me over to Virginia Beach. They put me in a little small joint, only hold 14 people, and I'm in the holdover. My man L there, big shout out to Big L, for my butt naked. We, with Corey and them, Wolf and the whole nine, So they got me over there at Virginia Beach. So now, about 2 days later, they moved me and they put me to this other part of the jail. That was, it was raggedy. Now I got 18 cells, but this joint is old, the paint chipping, the ceiling leaking. Everything is just crazy. So now when they take me over there, I'm laying down in the bed and I'm thinking, damn, I went from driving fancy cars, pocket full of money, doing what I want to do, to be sitting in here. Could you imagine what went through my mind? I'm sitting in here looking around and I'm like, and all they kept talking about, oh, you're looking at the gas chamber, you're looking at the gas chamber. So while they telling me that about looking at the gas chamber, I'm laying back. Then they take me over to the courthouse. Now they take me over to the courthouse. They bring me in there with like 12 other dudes. I don't even know none of them dudes. But they got us all handcuffed, next to each other, chained, together. So they bring us in the courtroom and they call out my name, because I'm the lead on the indictment. And then they call out these other names, and the people next to me that's chained with me that I'm thinking going in for their own issues, they stand up, So when they stand up and I'm looking, I'm thinking when we was just back in the bullpen, these same dudes was over there talking about, man, they brought me down from the state. I'm already serving time for that shooting of that, the little girl that got hit in the little turf war. I already copped out to that, so I don't understand why they got me down here. Another dude saying, yeah, I already pled guilty to the little couple of, ounces I got caught with. And everybody talking about how they already pled guilty, and they talking about, man, I'm telling when I go in, I tell it. So I'm sitting there, I'm not saying nothing because my lawyer already told me don't say nothing because you got dudes that be jumping on cases. Big shout out to Gene Oscar that called in the other day that came to testify on my behalf about how they jump on people's cases. So they sitting there and everybody, standing up in the courtroom now. And they said, that's your co-defendants. I'm like, co-defendants? All these dudes was already talking about telling from we was in the back holding cell. If I would have known that was them before I got my hands cuffed, I would have moved out on them. but, hands was cuffed. So now when they said that, I said, man, you got me up here with these rat bastards. You understand what I'm saying? And it was a dude standing next to me. You know what I mean? Big shout out to him. You know what I mean? Because he the only one that kept it real. Soon as I said rat bastard, he tried to hook off for me, but he chained to somebody else. You know what I mean? Now, my hands chained around my waist. You know what I mean? And another one chained to him. Then someone else chained to the next person and so on. So he tried to hook off for me. And when he tried to hook off, he pulled the cuff. The dudes next to him came. They leaned over with it because, he pulled the cuffs tight when he went to throw the blow at me for calling him a rat bastard. You know what I mean? So when he did that, we all fall on the floor. And we all over there fighting and pushing each other off, and we trying to wrestle with the cuffs on, and we shackled in the courtroom, and we fighting in the courtroom. This how my arraignment went. This how I meet my co-defendants. So when this go on, and they get everybody up and get all the police in there, and they get everything in order, then they ask, the judge asks, what's wrong? What's going on? You know what I mean? I said, yo, you got me in here with all these dudes I don't even know. And he said, nah, we mean you don't know. Those are your co-defendants. I said, how they my co-defendants? I don't even know them. They said, man, it's the feds. It's called conspiracy. You don't need to know your co-defendants. We just need to know that your drugs that you sent down to Virginia hit your brother's hands, and then it hit their hands, you know what I mean? And then it hit the streets, and it turned into turf war, you know what I mean? A little girl got shot, so you're responsible for all that. I'm like, how am I responsible for all that when I'm in New York? Well, you'll find out when you go to trial, So now I'm like, oh, man, they got me in this joint, So now we go back to the joint. Of course, they got us all separated, me except for the dude that was trying to swing at me because he the only one that was going to trial, and another cat, you know what I mean, that was going to trial. And he pled guilty during the trial, you know what I mean, at the last minute. He was in the unit with me and the other cat, so he ain't want to plead guilty while we in there together. But when the trial started, and the first couple of witnesses went up there and they started talking about, oh, I bought a key from him. I bought, 9 keys from him. I bought this, I bought that. He's hurried up and pled guilty. So now he done pled guilty. And it's just me and this other cat, you know what I mean? And we going to trial, the one that tried to hook off for me for calling him a rat. So we going to trial. And then afterwards, we go back in the joint, and then we talk, and he's letting me know, man, yo, I'm not into that pleading guilty. I already beat this same, it was a murder charge he had. He said, I already beat this same murder charge in the state twice. You understand what I'm saying? And now the feds pick it up. I said, how they go pick it up if you beat it in the state? You know what I mean? He said, because that's the state and this the feds, so they say they could do that. So picture, you know what I mean? So you young boys know, be careful you out there busting that gun, getting into all that so you understand. Picture you actually out there and, you beat a charge in the state, and then the feds pick it up and try you for the same thing, So this kid was, going through the murder charge while I'm going through, the kingpin charge. And, we wound up being cool as it went on because we was the last 2 man standing. There was 12 of us on the indictment. My brother was on the run, The female was on the run, and my man was on the run. You know what I mean? So it was like 9 of us that was in there, and it's only 2 of us going to trial. 7 pled guilty. They all come in and testify. I don't know none of them. They all came on the stand. They even testified they don't know me. You know what I mean? They testified they don't know me. But the judge gave the instructions telling them that I'm responsible for all the drugs they sold, even though I don't know them, because it was my drugs that I shipped from New York to Virginia to my brother, because I was supplying my brother. It was one of my, workers down there. So now I'm caught up for all this. So now I'm sitting in there. I go to trial, and when we go to trial, my man with the murder, he beats the trial. You know what I mean? He beats the trial. So he beat the trial and he left. I'm going to tell you about how he beat the trial in another video. But he beats the trial. You know what I mean? And the day they bringing me back, they take me out there. They got about 10 police cars and vans and all this stuff and helicopter and everything following me. And I'm in the van by myself. And while I'm walking out, I see my man at the bus stop with his suit jacket over his shoulder. And he look up at me in the van, and he just like wiped his head like, man, I dodged that one. Because he know I'm going for a long road. I ain't get sentenced yet. You know what I mean? But I just got found guilty. So now they sending me back, to the county jail. So I get back to the county jail, and I go back up there in the joint. And while I'm up there, I'm thinking, I said, man, from driving fancy cars, all the money, all the women, all the jewelry, to now, being brought down here, going through all this, and then blowing trial. It's like, yo, what else could happen? You understand what I'm saying? So then now, that was in June. So now in September, when it's time to go for sentencing. So I go in there for sentencing, and when I go in for sentencing, the judge gives me life plus 20. So I'm like, man, how much worse could it get than this? You understand what I'm saying? So now they sent me back to the county jail. So now I'm in the jail. I got life plus 20. You know what I mean? And I'm waiting for them to process my paperwork, see where they're going to send me. So now they sends me over to Lewisburg. But right before I go to Lewisburg, on October 1st, they come and that's when they tell me that my brother was killed. If that don't sound like Job, they come bring the news that my brother was killed, got shot twice in the head. You understand what I'm saying? Out in Seattle, Washington, while I'm in Virginia Beach. So picture what I'm thinking. I done lost all of this. Now my brother done got killed. You know, so I'm laying there. I'm like, man, it can't get no worse than this. You know what I mean? Then they send me to Lewisburg. And like I said, my first day in Lewisburg, you know what I mean? They put me in a hole. You know, they take me down there to what they call Quay. That's where they decide what unit they're going to put you in, you know. And then they put me out on the compound. The same day I go on the compound, I see a dude get killed. A dude get killed, stabbed in the neck. Another dude kicked a knife in his neck. Now, I told y'all about that. I'm just giving y'all the whole scenario in the play out. So now I'm watching a dude get killed right in front of me where they putting me to serve a life sentence. And I'm 29 years old. Could you imagine what was going through my head? Like, yo, this is where I'm at? Like, how I fall from grace, from fancy cars, jewelry, money, women, you understand what I'm saying? Traveling all over the world. So now I'm sitting in a cage watching another man kill another man for what I know is no reason. And I said, oh, man. So then now I'm up in there, and then next thing you know, they locked the jail down, you know, for the crack law. You know what I mean? So when they locked that down, here come the goon squad coming in. Next thing you know, they shooting tear gas in there. I'm going to give you little details about all that later. They shooting tear gas all up in there. So I got no choice but to fight. You know what I mean? I got no choice but to fight. So now I'm sitting there fighting, I'm rumbling, you know, we doing our thing, and, you know, it's on and popping, you know? So now while that's going on, they come up in there, they beat us up, hog tie us, and drag us out, take us down in the basement. You know what I mean? And leave us on the floor for 18 hours, handcuffed and shackled, to urinate and defecate on ourselves. You youngins want to be a part of this world. This is the world I was in. So now I'm laying down on the ground for 18 hours, handcuffed and shackled, and it's a hill going down like this. While the hill going down like that, I'm passing out because the handcuffs are so tight and the beating was so severe they gave me. I mean, they beat me like a runaway slave. And I'm laying on the floor, and it's dark down there. Because, you know, Lewisburg, everybody know they ain't got no fluorescent lights and all that back then. All they had was light bulbs, 40-watt light bulbs. So it's dark and gloomy. I'm laying down, and I'm thinking, how did I wind up here? How did I wind up here? This is what I'm thinking. So I'm, you know, trying to look up and count the lights. You know what I mean? To take my mind off of the pain that I'm feeling from the flexi cuffs being so tight around my wrists. You understand what I'm saying? I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man, God, what else you gonna do? You know what I mean? So the next thing you know, the chaplain comes over there and he act like he's concerned and he's checking my handcuffs. You know what I mean? And when I say, yeah, they tight, could you loosen them? He picked me up by my wrists, and that made the cuffs even tighter. Where I wanted to scream with all my might. But I seen the glare in his eyes that he's enjoying it. So I couldn't let him get satisfaction from seeing me scream from the pain that he's inflicting on me. So I just laid there, closed my eyes, man, and I said a prayer and told God, please help me out of this one, man. I don't know where the hell I'm going next. You know what I mean? So then the next day, 18 hours later, they moved me up in a cell that holds 2 people and had 10 of us in the cell. Now, where the hell you lay down with 10 men in the cell? And we all beat up and broken up from where they beat us. I mean, they beat us bad. So if you youngins want to enter this world, keep doing what you're doing. That's why I'm telling you, don't even get involved. So I'm telling you my horror story. So now I'm laying down in there with 10 men. We all on the ground. We so hurt so bad. You know what I mean? We all laying on the concrete. You know what I mean? They give us a little sheet. They don't even give us a blanket. They give us one sheet. You know what I mean? Now, from them beating us, we got blood everywhere. My mouth busted up, then I knocked my teeth out and everything. You know what I mean? I mean, it was teeth everywhere. You know, I could imagine what they felt like cleaning it up. Teeth was everywhere because they done broke us all up, man. You know, them Europeans wasn't nothing nice over there. So now we up there, and then they rush us through DHO at 1 o'clock in the morning. The jail is normally closed down at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. 1 o'clock in the morning, they come pull us out the cell and they run us through what they call DHO. That's the disciplinary hearing officer to give you, you know, your sanction, you know what I mean, your punishment, you know what I mean, for what they call it, the riot over there after they shot the tear gas in and tried to kill me, where I couldn't breathe, so I had no choice but to fight. You know what I mean? So now I'm sitting up in there, And they take me through the DHO, and they said guilty. You know what I mean? They ain't want to hear nothing. They said guilty. Then they say, oh, you had a knife, so you got a knife shot too. So being that you got a knife, you guilty, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You done gone through the police. We sending you out to, you know, a new place we got, you know? The Alcatraz of the Rockies, they called it. That's how they told me I was going to ADX. So you going to the Alcatraz of the Rockies. So I'm like, come on, man, what you doing? And that's the way I am. I mean, it's crazy. See, where's that? How do I point to that? Oh, right here. You see these handcuffs? This is how they kept me the whole time in the cell for about 30 days, man. Kept me handcuffed for 30 days like that. That's why I got them handcuffs up there. You know what I mean? Then when it was time to feed you, they let you take the cuffs off, but you got to back up, put your hands out the back of the door. They take the cuffs off, you know what I mean? And then they give you your tray, take the handcuffs, you sit down, you eat, and they come back and then they cuff you again. And then they leave you back up. And you with 10 people, but you know, they saying that we might have jumped on each other because we supposed to be the wildest of the wildest in the BOP. So they got us, 10 of us in the cell handcuffed together, going through this crap. You know what I mean? So then now, they started taking people out 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. They calling names, everybody leaving. After about 3-4 days, ain't nobody left but 6 of us. And I'm talking about in the whole dorm that had like over 100 people. Now 6 of us left. Everybody else left. They sent them to Terry Hut, you know what I mean? And they started what they called a pilot program where they kept them in the hole for 18 months because they couldn't really send them to ADX because they ain't, you know, put in the, you know, not bragging, they ain't putting the work that me and the other 6 put in, you know? So they sends us up to ADX. They sends them up to Terry Hut. So then they moved me to another part of, you know, Lewisburg in the hole. And this is wintertime, you know? It's cold as hell out there, but they got this big hot ass pipe, like I told you before, that run through the joint, and the heat burning so hard. I had to wrap blankets around it and rip sheets up, because now they gave us sheets and blanket. Wrap the blankets around the joint, you know what I mean? Rip the sheets up, tie it up. Then I had to get water and keep pouring water on the blanket that's on this big pipe that went through the whole cell from the first floor to the 3rd floor. Every cell got one of these pipes because it's ran by cold. They don't never turn it off. This joint is on even in the summertime. In the summertime, this hot ass pipe is still on. So picture this. Picture laying there in the summer. It's 80 degrees outside and you got a heating pipe running in a 4x8 cell. We had to lay on the floor like fish trying to breathe under the door, man. And I'm laying there, man, and while I'm trying to breathe under the door, I felt like my lungs was collapsing. I'm thinking like, God, what did I do to wind up in this situation? You know what I mean? And then I just said, man, I'm going to leave it in your hands, man. You know, plenty of nights it got so hot that I passed out laying there trying to breathe under the door. So I'm telling y'all, man, don't even get involved in the crime because you ain't trying to go through this. You know, we had to keep pouring water on the blanket, on the pipe, to keep the blanket, you know what I mean, to keep the heat down by throwing water from the sink on the blanket all night. We had to get up middle of the night to go water down the blanket because if you didn't do that, the pipe was so hot, the blanket would catch on fire. The blanket would catch on fire. This is how they got me living for 2 months in the hole over at Lewisburg, from October to January, to December, January. Then out of nowhere, they come pick me up, you know, and then they take me and they send me over there to Oklahoma. When they send me to Oklahoma, I get there and I'm thinking, all right, well, I get a chance to move around now, maybe get a good meal. Because all they gave me was bologna, you know, and cheese, and sometimes just cheese. I didn't eat meat at the time, so they gave us the bologna and cheese. I'm trading my bologna for the cheese, so I'm eating, you know, 2 slices of cheese with 4 slices of bread. Trying to feel the hunger in my stomach. You understand what I'm saying? So then now, they send me over to Oklahoma, so I just know I'm going to get a good meal. So I get to Oklahoma, and as soon as I get off the plane, they shoot me straight up to a cell. They rushed me past everybody. You know, me and the 6 brothers that was with me. They rushed all 6 of us straight upstairs to the top floor, you know, and we wondered when they going to feed us. They said, oh, they didn't feed you on the plane? I said, no, how was they going to feed us on the plane when we shackled to our waist and can't move our hands? Oh, well, they should have fed you. So I still ain't get nothing to eat. So now the next morning, they come at 4 o'clock in the morning, they wake us up and tell us the airlift is here. We get ready to get flown over to Colorado because we in Oklahoma at the time because we going to ADX. So that's when we went to ADX, and I told you all the story about that. When we got there, they beat us up, beat us bad, and put us in a joint and put us in there. So now I'm in ADX, and I'm thinking, how did I fall from grace? From, like I said, driving fancy cars, all the money, all the jewels, all the women. You know what I mean? I'm throwing the best parties. You understand what I'm saying? I'm wearing Dapper Dan outfits. I'm doing me. And now I'm locked in a cell for 23 hours a day, 5 days a week, and 24 hours for Saturday and Sunday because you don't come out on the weekend. So I'm wondering, how did I wind up here? You know? So that's why I'm telling y'all, you know, how not to wind up there. And the best way not to wind up there is not to get involved in crime. That's all I can tell you. Don't get involved in it because you ain't trying to get locked up. You ain't trying to go through what I went through, man. I definitely don't want to go through it again. And I definitely don't want you to go through it. So don't say I didn't tell you. You know, nobody told me, so I got a fake excuse. It's a fake excuse. I should have known better. You know what I mean? But God said don't hold a fool responsible for what he don't know. And I definitely didn't know, and I definitely was a fool. So that's why I'm trying to tell y'all how not to be a fool. You understand what I'm saying? By not getting involved so you don't get caught up in this bull. You know, it's nothing nice, man. But I'm laying there, and it's like, then I hear my grandmother died. I mean, my grandfather first, you know, and then my grandmother, you know? And I'm like, you know, what else could happen? Then I get a visit from one of my children's mothers. And she tell me, well, you're going to be in there for the rest of your life. So I found a man, I'm getting ready to get married, and I don't want to bring my daughter up here in this environment, so you're not going to be able to see your daughter again. Like, what more? I done lost my grandmother, my grandfather, my brother, and now my child's mother telling me I'm not going to be able to see my own daughter. I went about 18 years before I saw my daughter, about 16. Because when I saw my daughter, it might be 14. When I saw my daughter for the first time, she was 16. And she was so beautiful, and it felt so good to see her. You know what I mean? I love her with all my heart. But you know, the mother's in control and we in there, so now I'm stuck for my actions. So I can't blame nobody but me, you know? But, man, I don't wish this on nobody, man. That's why I'm doing these YouTube joints. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. I don't wish this on nobody. When she come tell me that, you know, she's not going to bring my daughter no more. So now I don't serve my little 4 years. I come up out of ADX and I get to Allenwood. So when I get to Allenwood, you know, my father dies. Yeah, my father died. That's grandma, grandpa, my brother, and now my father. I'm like, man, what more, Joe? Where are we going with this? I mean, I haven't suffered enough, you know? And then here it is, the lady that was like, you know, my best friend, you know, that raised me, you know, she died. I'm like, where are we going with this? You understand? And at this time, I haven't talked to my mother in maybe 7 years because they was chasing her down. So they done took my mother out of my life. God just blessed me and kept her alive, and she's alive with us today. You know what I mean? And, you know, she always told me, baby, you coming home. Don't worry about it. Just continue to be a man and stand on your principles. You know what you entered into, so you know what you got to do. I told you not to get involved. You chose to get involved, but you know what the rules are. And the rules were simple as day, man. Rules were simple as day. That's why I'm telling y'all what the rules are, so you know don't get involved, so you don't have to follow these crazy rules. Because once you break the law and you hit the street, the same way you wouldn't want nobody to tell on you, it's the same way you're not supposed to tell on your comrade. Period. Because the Bible even say, want for your brother what you want for yourself. So if you wouldn't want your brother to tell on you, no reason for you to tell on your brother. That's why I said don't get involved in that, man. Don't get involved in crime. Stay away from it, man. Them people got somewhere to put you not gonna like, man. And that was just my few years in the prison. That had nothing to do with, you know, when I hit Allenwood and then they sent me out to Lum Park and sent me to Coleman and sent me to Lee County and, you know, sent me to Atwater and, you know, back to Coleman and, you know, and then out to Victorville. Them people got something for you, man. You know, it's like living like that. And everywhere you go, every day the deuces is going on because somebody is fighting or stabbing somebody. Man, I've been on here long enough, man. If y'all don't get it by now, I don't know what to tell you, man. So, you know, all I'm going to tell you, make sure you cop the book of Rowan Harlem. Cop the book of Rowan Harlem. You know what I mean? At rowanharlem.com. Got the audio book also. hit that like button, subscribe and shit. And I went to have a meal up in Long Island, on Friday. That was so good I had to make a video about it. Up at Nautica Mile, joint called Platinum Cuisine. You know what I mean? Fire. You know what I mean? The food was good, the atmosphere was good, the staff was good. I mean, if you're ever up in Long Island, make sure you go there, man. It was so good I had to get the ladies that own the joint, run the joint, to do a little video, and I told them I'd do a little promo for them. So on the strength of that, man, I'm about to tap out. And I'm telling you, don't go to these people prison. You're not going to like it. They got somewhere to put that ass, man. So stop breaking the law, man. All right? That's all I'm going to tell you. Stop breaking the law. Because them people is not playing, and it ain't nothing nice. Because everybody think that it's a joke and it's a game, but it ain't nothing nice about that, man. It definitely ain't nothing nice about that. So that's why I'm telling y'all like it is. It's real. Don't even get involved in it, because I had to go through it. I wasn't happy. You know what I mean? I didn't like it. I didn't want to be a part of it. And I definitely don't want you to be a part of it. So don't say, like I said, that no one never told you, because I'm the first one telling y'all, and now y'all know what time it is. All right? So on the strength of that, I'm getting ready to be out.